Good morning, everybody. I think it's still morning. It's probably still morning. Welcome to episode 126, I think, of the Loch Briar Knits podcast. Vlogmas has thrown me for a loop. I don't remember what episode we were on before we started. Welcome everybody. I am Kelly of Loch Briar Knits. This is my podcast. I also have a hand-dyed yarn business, Loch Briar Knits, on Etsy. And welcome to all the new and returning viewers. We picked up a few new ones during the Vlogmas month. So thank you guys so much for checking out Vlogmas. I really appreciate it. It was loads of fun to do. And now we are back to the regularly scheduled program. So today is December. I've lost all track of time. I've been off work since the 20th. I think today is December 30th. So as per usual, at the end of the year, 1st of January, I always do my Make 9. And this year, I think I'm knitting entirely from stash. So during Vlogmas, I said that one of my goals this year was to not buy any new yarn until I had used up 3 sweaters quantities of yarn already in my stash. And then as I was making my Make 9, I thought there's a list of sweaters that I want to knit. And I was like, oh yeah, I have this yarn. That would look great for this sweater. I really wanted to knit with this yarn. I wonder what sweater would look good with it. And the next thing I knew, all of the sweaters I had tagged for my Make 9 this year were all going to be done on stash yarn. And I cannot tell you how thrilled I am about that because I have so many beautiful yarns in my stash that I feel like they're languishing because I bought them so excited to knit with them, and then, you know, something shiny catches your attention, or you're already knitting another sweater and then you buy a new yarn and you want to knit a sweater with that, blah, blah. You guys know my pain. I do have a stack of yarn here, but before we get into what is on the Make 9, people, I'm going to attempt to stand up and show you. This is the White Mountains sweater by Midori Hirose, and I knit this out of Illimani Baby Llama in the charcoal colorway, and then I mixed it with the Aloft Mohair yarn from Knit Picks, and I think the color was Carbon. So this is like, look at that. Is that not beautiful? So this is like crazy super warm. It comes, I would actually, if I were to knit it again, I would probably bring it up to about here, but it's a nice kind of loose fit. See, I don't know why I do that. I think that's roughly where I had it. This has got, there's a lot of different versions of different necks that you can do. I think there's one where you can do it with you might be able to do it with different weights of yarn if I'm remembering correctly. So I did it, the Baby Llama is a worsted weight, but I find the Illimani Baby Llama knits up almost more like a DK. So I mixed it with the Aloft Knit Picks Mohair. If anybody has been watching my previous videos before Vlogmas, you know that I had an issue with the arms where I read the pattern wrong and I knit a very skinny arm, but I didn't really realize that it was as skinny as it was until I knit the second arm correctly. And then I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Now, I don't know if any of you have had to tank back like that far with mohair held double with another yarn, but I had to tank back on this cuff already to correct it because I didn't make the sleeve quite long enough, and that was horrendous. It was awful to try to tank back and deal with that. So I thought there is just no way, because I had the sleeve done. It was a little shorter, so imagine it would have been like here. But I would have had to tink back like about like this much. And I just was not going to do that. The idea of trying to do that, I was like, no way. So in one of the Vlogmas episodes, I put in a lifeline, I cut the sleeve off, and then I started knitting from, I think it would have been, I can't to tell you like how well that worked. I can't even tell where I started, but I would guess it was about this far up. That's what I had to knit. Finished it, soaked it, blocked it, love it. It is done. It is done, and I absolutely love it. It is so warm and cozy. I could live in this. This is going to be on par with my classic sweater from Aspasterco. After I finish this, I cast on some other things, but we are getting to the Make 9. I'm just going to give you a quick review of what I'm working on right now. Last year, I gave my sister a skein of yarn and told her to give it back to me, and I was going to knit her a pair of the loose socks by Casual Fashion Queen, I think it is. She kept forgetting to give it to me, so she wrapped it up and put it with my gift from her with a little tag on it saying, your turn. So I did start knitting that. This is my Hard Candy Christmas colorway. I didn't knit this year. I actually didn't do any Christmas colorways this year because I simply did not have time. I did not have time. I knew that I was like, I got to get my Christmas colorways done. And then it was December, and I was just like, December was insane, and there was just so much going on, you know, in other aspects of my life that I was just, you know what, I'm just gonna have to let it go this year. This is basically just like a ribbing, and then once I get down to the shaping of the heel, I just switch over and do my regular vanilla sock pattern. But it's inspired by the loose sock by Casual Fashion Queen. So that's on the needles. Then if any of you were watching Vlogmas, you'll know I was working on the cowl, just a straight up easy cowl, close fit to the neck. This is knit out of Nomadic Yarns, Scum Buddy Loves Christmas, and I love it. I'm probably gonna knit, I'm gonna say about that much more because I like it kind of like accordioned on my neck for when I'm walking the dog. And this yarn is crazy soft. So that's still in the works. I also cast on just a vanilla pair of socks for myself, and this is Fleece Artist National Parks colorway for Quebec. And I've done the heel flap, so I just have to do the heel shaping and then the gusset. That's the first sock. I really like how these colors are knitting up. So that's the other thing that's on the go. Once I finished this sweater, I cast on the first sweater on my Make 9 for 2023. I made a lot of progress on this so far, considering that I just cast it on. So this is the Super Simple Summer Sweater by Joji Locatelli. So if you've been with me for any time, you know I have knit, this is my 5th. 2 I knit for myself, and for 1 I didn't like how the yarn knit up. It was a cotton yarn and I just didn't like how it looked. I love the colors. The colors were beautiful and they were sort of similar to what I'm knitting now. Cotton yarn just doesn't bloom the way that wool does. So anything that's not perfect is gonna show up. And it just didn't drape very well. So I ended up giving that away. And then I had also made, I think I went up a needle size and I knit one a bit longer, and I knit it out of gray and kind of a grubby pink in the same yarn I did my original one in. But I felt like it was too long and it kind of hit where it just made me feel frumpy when I wore it. I don't like pink. I thought the grubby pink would be okay, but I really didn't like the pink. So I ended up giving that one away too. And then the 4th one was the one I knit for my mom for Christmas last year. And that was out of the yarn that she had picked, which was Bernat Softy in blue, baby blue denim. And then I forgot what the yellow was called, but it was like kind of a soft yellow color. So that was for her. And now I'm knitting another one for me in baby Illimani baby llama in the charcoal and the dark gray. I cannot tell you how much I love this yarn. Like, I absolutely love this yarn. It is such a pleasure to knit with. It is so, like, the colors are just totally my jam, because it's not like a dark kind of midnight black. It's more of a dark gray. Like, it's really a true charcoal color. So I have cast this on. I'm on the third striping section. I am right at the point now where I split for the sleeves. So I don't know how well I can stretch this out for you. But, oh, I wish if you could come through the camera and just feel how soft this is. Oh. So I decided to do this one first because it's a heavier yarn, so it's going to be perfect for like the colder months. And that's sort of what I'm doing with my choices of how I'm going to knit, like when I'm going to knit things. I'm going to get the heavier ones out of the way, as many of the heavier ones done in the first couple 2-3 months, so that I have time to wear them. And then once sort of probably April hits, I'll start maybe doing some fingering weight. And then once July, August hits, I'll start doing the heavyweight ones again, just to get them ready for fall. Then something shiny will show up and completely throw that plan to the wind. But I cannot tell you, like, this pattern is so easy and such a pleasure to knit that even though this is my 5th one, I'm not going to be surprised if I do another one. The other thing I really like too is that now that I've knit enough sweaters, that I have a better idea of how I want them to fit, where I want the sleeves to land, where I want the waistband to land. I feel like I can knit this better knowing how to knit it so it's the way I like. Now, the first one I did was perfect. It's a little tighter gauge than this one, but I wanted this one to be a little looser. That one is sort of more tighter fitting, which is fine. I love it, but I did want one that was also a little looser. So I did. And this yarn has a lot better drape than the one that I made, that the yarn I used before. The yarn I used before was Wool Local from Erica Knight in a kind of a charcoal. Is there a theme going here? But then also a blue color. So it was sort of like a dark gray, like a dark kind of charcoal gray, and then a really nice blue color. This is actually Wool Local here, I believe, as well. And that may very well be another super simple summer sweater. But I think I may also make a stripes sweater out of this as well. So we'll see. So that's what's on the needles. This is the first item of the Make 9 2023. Next up, actually, what I'm going to do is let's just take a quick look at the 2022 and see how we did. For 2022, number one, my goal was to complete all of my languishing whims, which I did. And I don't remember what they were. There was a sock, I think there was a cowl, there was my conspiracy shawl, I think, which was the Lavender Field shawl, but I call it my conspiracy shawl. Because I think the lace work was a conspiracy against me. And also the color yarn going through the middle was a conspiracy by a homespun house. I was going to do something in brioche. I did not tackle brioche last year. I was going to do the Snowdrift shawl by Emily Foden until I realized that the Snowdrift shawl had brioche in it, and it's also a yarn mixed with mohair, and I thought, I'm not going to tackle brioche for the first time with mohair. I was going to complete my half and half wrap. I did not. I was going to do a colorwork sweater, my first colorwork sweater, which I did. I did the Blizzard by Jessica McDonald. I was going to do a cardigan with or without the button band. I did not. I was going to do for 8 and 9 on the list. I had pullover sweaters 1 and 2 for number 8. And then I had pullover sweaters number 3 and 4 for number 9. So I did both of those. I did the classic sweater by Spastrico. I did the DRK Everyday Sweater by Andrea Mowry. I did the striped sweater by Andrea Mowry, and I did the bright side sweater by Spastrico. And I think I did, oh, and then I did the blizzard sweater. And I think that was all of the sweaters that I did last year. Coming up, are we ready? Coming up for what I'm going to do is, if I don't have the pattern, which I don't for a lot of these, I am going to put the, probably stick the picture right up around here for it. First up is the, I'm trying to remember the order. I have them on my list, which I left downstairs or somewhere. I couldn't find it. I know it's somewhere. The dog ran off with the notebook yesterday. And I remember taking it from her and putting it somewhere. I just don't remember where. So we'll find that later. Let's do what I know this is being done next. This is going to be my next classic sweater because this is a really good winter sweater. And that is going to be knit out of Illimani Echo Llama in the, I don't know if they have the colorway. This is where I put my glasses back on. This is, does this have a colorway? It does not. Color LFO. But it's this beautiful kind of, I call it like coffee with milk. Actually kind of hot chocolate maybe, I don't know. But it's this, and it is going to be, and this is the Illimani Echo Llama, and it is going to be mixed with the Good Vibrations, and I believe this is called the Spring Frost colorway. This is going to be beautiful. I honestly cannot wait to cast that on. So once I finish the Super Simple Summer Sweater, which I'm going to guess I can have done in a couple weeks if everything goes as planned. That is going to be one of the first ones that gets knit. I had to go downstairs and find a list, and then I couldn't find a list because I had to hide it from the dog. You can kind of see where she ate my... We did the classic. We did the Super Simple Summer Sweater, the Felix sweater, which I had knit for my mom for Christmas, and I really enjoyed the pattern. So I wanted to make one for myself. So I am going to knit that out of Cascade 220 Heather. And this is the Sparrow colorway. I love this. But this again, it's a heavier yarn. This is, I would call this like a heavy worsted bordering on bulky. And I checked on the pattern page for the Felix sweater, and there were several people who had made it out of Cascade 220. And I was kind of looking at their finished objects, and it looked really nice. So that's going to be number 3. Number 4, the order of these when I do them may actually change depending on my mood, but this is the plan so far. Number 4 is going to be the Cinder Sweater by Jessica McDonald. I am making that out of Knit Picks Swish DK. And this is going to be the main color, which is Squirrel Heather. And then the 2 contrasting colors are going to be Garnet Heather and Forest Heather. So these are going to be the colors, main, contrasting. So that's going to be for those ones, and that's a DK weight. So the next one was going to be the Comfort Sweater. I'm going to knit that out of Shire Heather, which is Knit Picks, and I'm knitting that out of Wool of the Andes. So that's like this beautiful green color. And when you're looking at it, it's almost like there's the gold sort of variegated through it. I don't know how well that's showing. And that's worsted weight. So I think I may not get to this one until maybe late summer, early fall. Next up, the other one colorwork sweater I'm going to do is a yarn that my husband got me for Christmas. And it is Wool of the Andes again. It's in their sport weight. And it is from Forest by Jessica McDonald. I love how she does colorwork patterns. I love the design on them. So here's the funny thing. The two colorwork sweaters that I chose to do from her, the first one that I already mentioned is the Cinder pattern, and this one is the Red Cedar pattern. Now, my very first dog's name was Cinder, and my dog previous to Scout was called Cedar. So I just thought, I don't know if that was some sort of subliminal thing on my part or not, but I think this is, yeah, that doesn't give anything away. That's just the write up. But this is the sweater. Like, it's absolutely beautiful. And this is in a sport weight. So I am doing, so this is the Dove Heather, which is like a very kind of light gray. And the contrast colors are going to be Chestnut, and I'm reading this without my glasses, Aurora Heather. So this is going to be the color work, and this is going to be the main color. So I'm very excited about that. I may do the Cinder one. No, actually, you know what? I might do this one possibly late spring, maybe. I want to do the Everyday Sweater. Who is that by? Who's the Everyday Sweater by? Is that Andrea Mowry? Oh my God, I'll put it here. I'm so prepared. And that is going to be out of Barrett Wool Co. This is their fingering weight yarn, and it's 100% American wool in the Folkstone colorway. So this is probably, I love this. This has been in my stash probably for about 3, maybe even 4 years now. And I love it. It's like this gray blue. It's just a stunning color. So that is going to be the Everyday Sweater. And then the other one was the Ranunculus that I'm going to knit, and I don't know which yarn I'm going to use with that. I may use this here, which I don't want to pull out because it may collapse everything, but it's Hypothesis yarn. It's one of her yarns. I only have a few of hers left because she's not dying anymore, so I'm being very precious about them. Or Spice Cake by Tiny Human Knits, I believe. So yeah, so what I'll do is, because I'm clearly so prepared, I will have all of the sweaters I plan on knitting listed, and their designer, and also the yarns that I'm at this point planning on using to knit them up. So that covers all of the sweaters, which brings me, how many are sweaters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sweaters. So now I don't think that's necessarily undoable. The Felix sweater is a really heavy weight, like it's a heavy worsted bulky. That's going to knit up fast. The one I did for my mom knit up fast. It would have knitted up faster if I didn't keep getting distracted by other things like this. The Super Simple Summer Sweater, I think I can probably have that done in a couple of weeks. And then what was the other one? The Classic, the first one I knit up for that went really fast. So I expect that will do the same. And I did the last color work that I did, or my first color work sweater, the Blizzard from Jessica McDonald. Her patterns are written really well, and the color work charts are really easy for somebody with me, like me with a dyslexic brain to understand. So I think I will be able to knit those up fairly quickly. But yeah, like I really think this is going to be the year of the sweater for me. So the other thing that I really wanted to do was I really wanted to use up my minis from my minis, which are hanging. By the way, the Advent holder that I purchased from Alex Collins Designs, which held all of my minis, that has got to be one of the best things I have ever bought. It is, number one, it is so well made. It is so pretty. Like, let me see if I can do this without totally screwing things up. Like, look at that. It's just, it's so pretty. But what I want to do for the minis is I was like 100% sure pretty much I was going to do the Cozy Comfort blanket with because my Advent minis were from a homespun house this year. Then I looked at the pattern and you need 5 skeins of bare yarn, which is a lot of money. Even for like, I hand dye my own yarn, so I've got bare yarn downstairs. And so, you know, like when you're buying them in bulk or like you get them for cost, but that's kind of 5 skeins out of my stash or out of my supply that I could be hand dyeing. It just seemed excessive. And I've already got the half and half blanket going. I've got my one here from Helen Stewart from one of her Advents that, you know, I have. And then, I mean, we have a couple of other blankets kicking around. I don't really need another blanket. And then I was kind of looking at previous episodes and I was just trying to get some ideas, and I had done one where I was making my second Phoebe scarf by Knits for You. I'll put it here. Again, so prepared. And I absolutely love that scarf. It starts off kind of at one angle and then you kind of come out to a certain width. And you can do like a wider or a narrower width depending on how many, you know, you knit out to. It has the options. I like the wider one. And you stripe it as you go. And I thought, you know what? That might be a good idea. Like, I think, because I love that scarf. It's probably the scarf I wear the most. And I have 2 of them. So it's one of those knits I really enjoy doing. It's so simple. So I thought that would be a really good idea for the minis. And I have these minis here, but I also have the 10-gram minis from Sweet Sparrow Knits, Sweet Sparrow Yarns, Sweet Sparrow. I'll put it down below. From the previous year that I haven't used yet. So that might also be a good idea to put either in that scarf, or I may use those for another leftover city cowl, because I absolutely love the leftover city cowl. It is so much fun to knit. And or there's also the Spice Blend cowl, and there's one other cowl that's kind of made for minis, so, but it's color work. And I thought, you know what? I think that's what I'm gonna do. I don't need to use all of my minis in one project. And I don't want to, I mean, the minis themselves were a fairly large investment because they are really expensive, and the work that goes into them, you know, definitely, I understand why. But I don't want to knit them into something that then I'm not going to really use. And I really don't need another blanket. I may do another one of these and then take the other one out to the cottage. That may be something I can do. But this is just straight up minis. I don't have to mix like plain skeins of yarn in with it to make like a thicker. And I like this because it's light, but it's also warm. So that might be another thing I do. So that is so basically like the 9th is to use up my mini skeins from last year and this year. So that is everything as far as my plans for the Make 9. This is probably going to be a longer video than usual, and I have a huge mess to clean up. So I'm not going to get into any what's going on, because if you're with me for Vlogmas, you kind of know what's going on. I hope everybody had a really wonderful holiday if you were celebrating. I hope you got some time off and that you are all ready for the new year. Get all your knits picked out. Oh, you don't have to have them all picked out. You got knits you want to knit. And you got some yarn for Christmas. And I hope some of you are going to stash dive with me. So I am really determined to not buy any new yarn that I have to pay cash for. I got a gift certificate, so I may use that, but it's not money out of my pocket. So that's a little different. I had originally thought, you know what, I'm not going to buy any new stash with my money. I'm allowed to use my gift card until I get 3 sweaters knit up. But I may push that. I may do either 3, I think I may go 4 because I've got 8 sweaters listed to knit. And the ones I'm going to knit may juggle a bit, but I still want all of my sweaters that I knit this year to be knit out of stash. And that is still going to leave me enough sweaters quantity of yarn to knit up the same amount of sweaters for next year. So I have no excuse. So if anybody's interested in doing a bit of a stash along with me, let me know what your plans are for your Make 9. If you're doing a Make 9 or just what your general plans for the year are, what you're going to knit up. And if you plan on kind of busting through your stash while you do it, let me know. And maybe we can keep each other accountable. So until next episode, which will probably be in about 2 weeks time, I am going to try to have the super simple summer sweater done. Bold? Maybe. Crazy? Possibly. But I'm going to try to get that done. I have a few days left of vacation. The only thing I have to do during vacation right now is get some writing done and take the tree and put down and put the Christmas decorations away. That's it. So I should have plenty of knitting time. So until next episode, happy knitting, and I will see you soon. Bye.